Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hockey in the 313 podcast. This time we're going over episode 7. This episode is tributed towards the Red Wings in their draft lottery. We're going to start out by talking about how the Red Wings slipped to number 13 in the draft lottery. We're going to talk about the bad luck that the Red Wings have experienced over the past couple of years. Then going to dive deep into 3 prospects who we think we should take at 13. Zach's going to go into a little bit of detail about those said prospects. And then after that, we're going to talk about how the Griffins season just recently ended due to a sweep to the Texas Stars, what went on in that series, who looked good, who looked bad. And then finally, unfortunately, he is not here, but we're doing Red Wings coverage, aka Daytons, Q&A from your followers-submitted questions. So with that, let's get into episode 7 of the Hockey in the 313 podcast. All right, so today, guys, main topic, the draft lottery happened last week. The Red Wings had the 12th overall odds, or the 12th best odds at winning the lottery. The Red Wings ultimately slipped because Utah jumps 10 spots. The Red Wings currently are picking 13th, as we mentioned before. I kind of want to go over the draft order here real quick for all of us if you haven't seen it already. Probably already have, especially if you're a Red Wings fan. First overall, the Islanders jumped up 9 spots. San Jose at second overall. Chicago at third. The Utah, now known as the Utah Mammoth, jump up 10 spots to number 4. Nashville's at 5. Philadelphia at 6. Boston at 7. Seattle at 8. Buffalo at 9th. Anaheim at 10th. Pittsburgh at 11th. The Rangers at 12th. Us at 13th. Columbus at 14th. Vancouver at 15th. And then Montreal at 16th. So as I mentioned before, the Red Wings dropped 1 spot in this draft lottery. If I remember correctly, they had like 5.3% odds to drop. And of course, it happens. The Red Wings had an 85% chance of staying at number 12. Ultimately, they didn't because of the Utah Mammoth jump up. But yeah, I'm just kind of going over this briefly real quick. Let's talk about how much the Red Wings have fell in this draft. So in 2017, the Red Wings fell from 7 to 9, which in reality, you can kind of count them dropping 1 because of Vegas in front of them. 2015, we dropped 1, or 2018, we dropped 1 spot from 5 to 6. 2019, 4 to 6, so -2. And then 2020, we all know about this year, we dropped from 1 to 4.
Love it.
So, yeah. And then this year, we dropped 1 spot. So technically, when you really think about it, the Red Wings dropped around, if you include like us dropping from the expansion draft from both Vegas and Seattle, we dropped a total of 9 spots, guys. What the hell is going on? Like,
what a time to be alive.
We're just cursed.
I mean, like, you talk about having bad luck. Like, this Red Wings team is the epitome of having bad luck, and it's so annoying. And to make, like, let's throw some salt in the wound here from Ryan Hanna from the Wingfield podcast. The 4-digit combination that won Utah the second lottery draw and pushed Detroit down to 13th were the following numbers: 1, 3, 5, and 12. The 4-digit combination that would have won the second overall pick for the Detroit Red Wings: 1, 3, 5, and 11. So, I mean, it's not. I mentioned this beforehand. I'm not mad that we dropped 1 spot because it's 12 to 13. Like, it's the same amount, like, variety of prospects that you're going to get there. It's not a huge deal. But it's just the fact that we keep dropping or we stay the same. Like, we have not ever moved up in the draft lottery once. So, I don't know what more to say, man.
I'm more upset that New York Islanders got the first draft pick.
Yeah.
But how did that happen?
I mean, I am interested to see. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the Islanders will do. They got the hometown kid, James Higgins, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I would take him first overall over guys like Schaefer, Misa. So I mean, do they trade down or whatever? But they're a fairly old team as well, and they have a diluted prospect pool. So I mean,
Like,
yeah, we'll see.
Very diluted. Like,
Mhm.
they have nothing. I think their AHL team won, I think, a combination of, 10 games?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but
Like,
you
they
can get
flat out.
Who did they get? Who did they get from the Avalanche trade? Was it Berkeley Canton?
It was
Yeah,
Callum Ritchie. Yep.
Howard,
Alan Richards.
that helps them a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That definitely helps. But you just look at the other products, like nothing, and then you have like a couple veteran guys. I forgot Pierre Engvall got sent down, and then a couple other guys.
His contract sucks. Oh
Yeah,
my
Pierre
god.
it's
Engvall,
like
the man, the
Leave it
myth,
to
the
Lou
legend.
Lamoriello to sign long-term extensions to every player that comes into the Islanders organization. And man, would it be hilarious if he brought in, or if Ken Holland came in and did the exact same thing?
Yes.
Just
Yeah,
when they
you
thought,
guys want to? Sorry.
just when they thought they were going to try and improve the team, they're just like, you know what? Let's bring Patrick Lyon. And then have him dog
guys-
on Anthony Duclair, and then Anthony Duclair decides that he needs to go and touch grass. So
Exactly.
Oh god.
You guys want to hear the Islanders' top prospects real quick? So let's
I know it.
let's look at prospect top one. Okay, we got Cole Eiserman. We all know what happened last year. He fell. We just mentioned Callum Ritchie. We then have Danny Nelson, Quinn Finley. That's
Solid
it.
college guys. Yep.
No, like besides Cole Eiserman, no like game-breaking guy.
definitive type prospect.
Yeah, and for a boring team, they needed that first overall pick. As much as I don't like the
Yeah.
Islanders, they needed that pick. So, yeah, good on the Islanders, I suppose. It wasn't Pittsburgh, it wasn't Chicago. So any other team, I would have been fine with.
Chicago
Yeah.
fans are on a certain watch right now.
Ugh.
Oh come
my God.
on.
every
They could have.
every Islanders game I've watched has been against my will.
Yeah.
However, I do agree that them having the first pick is really, really good for them, and that could help them get back into the playoffs, which they so desperately need, in my opinion. You know, with Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat and the like.
They got pieces. I think it's just
Yeah,
they need to retool a little bit, and
Yeah,
honestly, that first
definitely.
overall pick helps them a ton in the sense of you got a lot, like Zach was saying, a lot of options. You have Schaefer, you have Misa. Those are two top guys, and then you could realistically trade down or trade that to get a high end player. It just all depends on what other teams are trying to give up. But they're in a weird situation where they need to find a GM, they need to find a direction, and maybe they need to do a couple other things, like maybe with coaching, maybe I don't know. There's a lot of things that the Islanders need to do if they want to, try and get through this retool or rebuild that they're doing right now, kind of more officially since they moved on from Lamoriello. They're heading in the right direction, and then in the sense of like other teams staying stagnant, like Chicago, they're probably really pissed off because they had a really bad year. San Jose. But like San Jose, I know San Jose was really talking about, if they did get the first overall pick, they were willing to maybe trade down.
Oh yeah.
I think they're in a position where they can get a really high end franchise talent forward in Misa. I feel like that'd be really great. And then in the terms of Utah moving up, that come on, that I know, like at this point the lottery's rigged. We're always favoring either expansion teams or teams or new markets that they have not ever touched, and it's the same thing. It's like Islanders, okay, they moved up, cool for them. Utah, you move up 10 spots. Are you kidding me?
Same shit, different
Yeah.
toilet.
I'm really interested what Utah does at 4. I hope they keep it, but I mean they have this like reputation where they're like kind of drafting big guys. Like 2023 they got Simashev, which was kind of a reach, but I like that pick. I thought Boot then with their 13th overall that year was a reach, but he's been kind of good in the KHL. Tisha Ginla was pretty good too, but Cole Baudouin with their late first rounder last year was a little bit decent, but he showed that he could be like a kind of a first rounder. So I'm wondering if they could go maybe Martone or Frondel at 4, unless Chicago is willing to get like Martone, then they get the other big guy or something like that.
Well, the big thing that I've heard about Chicago is, like, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, maybe not, but I have heard like strong circulation that they are going after Frundell. Like they really like him. All kind of depends on what happens at the draft. Like it could change, but I think you could intertwine Martone and Frundell together. They're both big two-way guys. You could easily put both of them on like the power play and the PK, and they'd be very good. I see more Frundell going to the Blackhawks just because he'd be a very good 2C behind Bedard.
I mean, I've been kind of on the Frondel or Martone for them, unless there's been some traction recently with them going Frondel. But
That's what
I
I've
mean,
heard so far.
yeah, I've just been saying that because Martone's like that skilled guy, and he can maybe be well, maybe not as much as pace wise as like the Hawks have been kind of also building a lot of pace as well. But I mean, yeah, they did a weird thing last year taking Levshinov too over like Demidov. So I mean,
Hey,
we just don't know.
if they want to be stupid, like by all means keep the rebuild going. Like I won't complain with the Blackhawks taking Matt players. Not saying that Leshnev is mad, but like when you have a arguably generational talent on the board and you pass up on him just because you need a defenseman. With Chicago last year, they needed to take BPA. Like
Yeah,
you're in a point.
give Bedard some
different.
help.
You're in two different kinds of like rebuilds. Like for us right now, we're probably gonna take BPA. But if you're also like kind of like where the Sharks are right now, where you take BPA, like you're early in your rebuild, you can take BPA. Once you kind of get into those middle frames of the rebuild, then you start going after positional players. Like you need when you're Chicago right now, you should be taking BPA. Like imagine how lethal Ivan Demidov and Connor Bedard would be. Now you're kind of staring down the barrel at like Levshinov, who again he's good, but like I wouldn't have taken him over Demidov. And then you have a guy like Kevin Korchinski, who right now unless he has a breakout season in the next 1 to 2 years, he's just another like good top four defenseman. Which when he was drafted, people thought it would be more. So that's just kind of my thoughts because I've been thinking about the Blackhawks a little bit. But yeah. Okay.
Think about
now,
the Blackhawks.
What was that? Okay, now on to the next topic for us. We're going to dive a little bit deep here into who should the Red Wings take at 13. I'm going to have a little bit of help from Zach here. Keegan and Hunter can touch in a little bit if you guys know some of these prospects. I don't know if Hunter will, just because for context, everyone Hunter jumped in because Dayton has some work to do according to him. So Hunter kind of jumped in last minute. Yeah, he's not cemented enough. So for the first prospect, I kind of wanted to look at first. I kind of wanted to look at. Let's go with Cullen Potter. Out of I gotta time this real quick because every time I make my graphics I time myself, so I have to go back and put the graphic on so I don't have to like drag through CapCut the entire time. So if you ever notice like I just randomly pause to stop, I'm looking at the screen, making sure. But yeah, here, let me go back. Okay, so Cullen Potter, out of Hortonville, Wisconsin. He played for Arizona State University out of the NCAA. He had 35 points, in 35 games played, he had 13 goals, 9 assists, and 22 points. For Cullen Potter, as I was watching a little bit of film, he's a guy that kind of sticks out to me as like more of a two-way forward, of a good puck mover. He's very fast, I would like to mention. Zach, you could probably catch me on some of the details with him. Why specifically did you pick Cullen Potter?
Well, kind of like I said when our first episode being back, we brought up those Cullen Potter. But one thing I've always really liked about Cullen Potter throughout watching him a little bit through the season in the NCAA is obviously his speed. He has a striking, electrifying speed. I just really like how he goes. It's almost like a maybe Logan Cooley, Kyle Connor style player like that. And I also thought he kind of did decent at the U18s, which I mean, the U18s this year was kind of weak. You didn't have McKenna or Eklund, but still, I thought he was a player who stood out for Team USA. There was this one goal I really liked at the U18s. Well, it didn't count as a goal because I think he was offsides, but he absolutely worked around the perimeter with possession with the puck against Czechia. He kind of just with a nice snipe below the blocker. But yeah, I feel like once again, I would like to bring in some pace with our prospects, kind of highly skilled, high offense, and I think that could be with Colin Potter. Now, I mean, looking at his stats also, he has more goals than assists, which is kind of a little bit of a red flag when looking at some prospects. But I mean, Arizona State was kind of a decent college team. They weren't like one of the top dogs like you'd see in the Hockey East or the Big Ten. But I still feel like he's underrated, and I know a lot of sites are like kind of putting him in the 20s, but I really think maybe he could be possibly near that top 10 area, but he could fall because he's like around 5'10 ish. And
Which we know about NHL player, NHL GMs. They don't like their small forwards.
mhm. There's a couple of big guys in this draft, obviously. So I really hope he kind of has a better. I think he'll have a better season in the NCAA next year because
Hmm.
I know another draft eligible Ben Kevon is going to be his teammate, who's another skilled guy, who's probably going to be around second roundish. But yeah, I once again he brings pace. I really like his pace, and I'm gonna need to check up on his defensive game. I think it's pretty solid, but yeah, that's something I would need to like kind of take a more deep dive into or whatever.
Keegan, do you got anything to add or not entirely?
Not entirely. I think the goal scoring is we don't have a lot of prospects other than I would say maybe Carter Mazer, where their goal scoring kind of stands out a little bit more. So I'd love to see them draft maybe more of a goal scorer, maybe a guy with more of that type of high offense because we don't got a lot of guys in our system that you know kind of more of a pure goal scorer. So um, I think it would be a great selection. But obviously, there's a couple other players that every player has different um, skill sets, and his more stands out in the sense of he's able to score goals. It may maybe look a little red flaggish, like Zach said, in the sense of he's only had more goals than assists. But I mean, at that point, at 13, and especially where we're at in rebuild, you might as well take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna notice this with a bunch of picks or a bunch of players that we have on now and then soon to be for our mock draft. Like we want the wings to take swings. We're at the
Mm-hmm.
point in the rebuild where if a player falls, you need to take the player. Like there's no more of this cut in the corner bullshit or like a high floor, low ceiling player. Like if there is a guy like I didn't put him on the list, but if he falls, then you need to be running up the podium. If there is a guy like Roger McQueen that is on the board, you need to run up to the board and draft him. Not saying him specifically, but like
I am worried about with his injury history, with this back injury, but I mean, screw it. Why not?
I
Because
mean,
there's some parts that I like in McQueen's game and some that has to be worked on. But I mean, I'm hoping he plays a lot more next year. But
there's a
yeah.
lot. There's a
I
lot of like attributes to Roger McQueen that he had before he got injured. He was classified as a
Mm-hmm.
top five, maybe even top three selection. Like if he falls down, like I get it, like back issues, like it's understandable. But in my opinion, like you have time to settle from your injury. You're not gonna rush that dude to get him in the lineup ASAP. Like let him take his time. Like if he doesn't need to participate in the rookie mini camps, like don't do that. If it takes him a while to go into training camp, then let him like recover on his own. Like we're at the point where it's like you can take those swings. Like it's the same thing with like those Russian prospects. Like it's gonna take forever for them to get over here, but like you're at the point in your rebuild where you're okay with taking those swings because a guy like Patrick Kane isn't going to be around for much longer, so you're okay with that leap taking 2 to 3 years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's worked out with a lot of the Russian prospects with like Bunchenkov for us. Like solid KHL guy. Maybe he comes over next year or this year. But I want to add to with Roger McQueen. If he does drop, I feel like, and I know last year Lindstrom for Columbus kind of had the same kind of like had his history of back injuries.
Right.
I know
Mhm.
he's a defenseman,
Mhm.
two different type of things, but
Forward.
yeah, but you're you know Columbus gave him the time to recover, and obviously now he's going to start playing more games. But I think Michigan has a really great medical staff. I feel like if he does decide to stay in Michigan or he does get sent back to juniors, he has every opportunity to have really good rehabilitation if
Hmm.
he's available by any means.
Well,
Quickly on
Lindstrom's
Lindstrom, yeah,
yeah.
he's the playing for Medicine Hat right now.
Mhm.
Already has an assist for the finals, and he also committed to Michigan State. So
Which
once again,
again, outside of Michigan and MSU, like Keegan just said, like this state is great with like
yeah.
doctors and like doctorates, so I think it'll be all okay in my opinion.
Hmm.
But you do there, like I said, there is some risk involved, but not enough for me to be completely scared off from him as a player if he's there at 13th. Okay, so the next player that I have down for us is personally my favorite player. I definitely agree with this one. If I will say, there's another outside of Roger McQueen. I have like a ton of like favorite prospects right now. But this one, if he is on the board, I think we should take him, and he's in the range, so it's not like a guy like the other player that I thought of was Victor Eklund. I love. We all know the Red Wings love their Swedes, but he's another one of my favorite guys. But if this guy is on the board, I'm worried that the team in front of us will take him. I got Carter Bear. Carter Bear is obviously the brother of Ethan Bear. He played for the Everett Silvertips this season. He scored in, what was it, like, he had 40 goals and 42
Hmm.
assists this season playing for Everett. What I have down for Carter Bear is he is a great puck moving forward. He's a good point getter. Um, he's a good distributor to his teammates. He can hit the back of the net. He can get in front of the net. He gets the rebounds. He gets those like filthy, like those, gets in the dirty area, I should say, for his goals. He's got a wicked shot, in my opinion. Just an all around, like, you want a talented goal scorer in your system. Like, this is the guy, in my opinion, around the 13 range. Um, he plays center and left wing, so if we need to, you maneuver him around the lineup. I mean, if you don't need a center right now, like, again, move him to wing. Although our winger like depth is like loaded, our center isn't as much. But for right now, you look at those top two centers. You got Dylan Larkin and Marco Casper for the future, which thank God we can finally say like we have a 2C for the future. But
Hmm.
yeah, Zach, you want to fill us in for Carter Bear? Like,
I mean, yeah, with Carter Bear, I've always liked him, and as a matter of fact, while I was trying to watch Landon Dupont's first game, he was the guy who kind of stole my eye with how the way he kind of forechecks and backchecks. He's a great kind of endurance player. That's why I like to see. I sometimes get a little bit of a Logan Stankoven vibe, but I mean, I would say like Stankoven probably had more of a kind of more explosiveness with his speed.
Offensive upside too.
Yeah, with that too a little bit. And I mean, I just like how the way Carter Bear battles, and I've been vouching for him for the top 10 all through the year. I know some outlets once again come out a little bit of the back half of the first round, and I remember watching him too, like against Kelowna. He was like on Andrew Crystal most of the game. He's like attacking the triangle, pushing him to the boards, always trying to get the puck and for his teammates, and he's been able to flourish on Everett. But one thing I gotta say too is towards the end of the year his points kind of tapered off, and he suffered he I think a lacerated Achilles, something like that with his foot. So which sidelined him throughout the playoffs and obviously the rest of the year. So I think maybe he drops because of this, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how this affects his skating. I mean, I'm hoping for the best for him. But either way, he is kind of like a player we sort of draft with high floor, but I wouldn't mind him. I really like Bear, and he's on a great team still. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. And maybe like he could be a Kyle Dubas pick with Pittsburgh, but I don't know.
That's the team
Still,
that I'm worried about that'll take him is the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I feel like Dubas would be weird because he's kind of smart when it comes to drafting guys like this or whatever. But yeah, I think Bear would be an awesome fit for the Red Wings. Uh, Once again, well, yeah.
Keegan, you want to touch up on him, anything?
I mean, he is. I mean, kind of a great description. I think Barrett. I mean, you look at his injury. I mean, you're hoping that he doesn't get selected by like a Penguins or maybe top 10 because I mean we kind of touched on it before, but this draft is very back and forth after 6. Like anything can pretty much happen. Anyone can go pretty much anywhere. Any teams could maybe trade up, trade down. But I mean, he does kind of fit like, what the Wings could potentially look at in the sense of, you know, high upside. Maybe he's a good all around player. I think um, when looking at it, it just all depends on how if he drops. But I'd love the opportunity to have a guy like that, and obviously sick ass last name too.
Mhm.
Definitely sells jerseys, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a player of all time.
A little thing about Carter Bear, because I didn't even realize this. Ethan Bear, I was like, he definitely has a brother. Like, I knew he did, and I looked into it, and Ethan Bear is currently, like, he's buried in the AHL right now. He's playing for
Mm.
Hershey right now. So, I mean, Hershey's in the Calder Cup playoffs right now. They're looking to go for a three-peat, which, God forbid, please don't let it happen. I'm sick of seeing Hershey win.
Mhm.
It's genuinely annoying.
It's like Tampa all over again, but AHL.
And I just looked at the Calder Cup playoffs because that's what we're going to touch up on later.
Mhm.
I kid you not, in every division, it's the 1 and the 2 seed for the Central
Mm.
Pacific, Atlantic, and then Northern. Like, I'm like, there's no variety in this.
It's almost like the stack teams get to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Okay.
upset.
So for the next player, and this is probably Zach's favorite player, we are going to look at Jackson Smith and Zach. What do you call Jackson Smith again?
Jackson Smith the Jigba, wide receiver, Seattle Seahawks. But
It was hilarious when I first heard him say that.
yes.
Jackson Smith, he is a left-handed defenseman out of Calgary, Alberta. He played for the Tri-City Americans. He's a good physical defenseman. He's strong skating. He's a two-way defenseman that can chip into some offense here and there, and it shows with his point totals. In 68 games played, he had 11 goals, 43 assists, and 54 points. Jackson Smith, as I kind of gave, what was it, the little like pause because, you know, Tri-City Americans. Who was the last player that we just selected out of Tri-City?
Oh.
So
Rats.
Jackson Smith, he's a big defenseman. He's a big 6'3" defenseman. Like I mentioned before, he's a good two-way guy that chips in a lot of offense. He's only played in reality kind of 2 seasons for Tri-City. He didn't play much in his first year with the Americans, but he looked pretty good in the World Juniors too. I like to add, he had 4 goals in 7 games for them. So, as I mentioned, like he's a good two-way forward, but like he can chip in some offense here and there. And yeah, Zach, what more do you have about Jackson Smith? Because you like him apparently.
Yeah. Admittedly, I need to watch a little bit more of him because I was kind of watching other underrated guys, but right now I'd say he's probably my second favorite defenseman. I know there's teams who will probably want like Radim Murtka because of his size, but I feel like he's still raw in some aspects. But still, I mean, best way to describe maybe Jackson Smith is shout out to Will Scouch on scouching is uh he would have a style kind of like cowboy hockey. He's kind of wild. And he with this skill. Just really like how he's kind of going at it, going through with in the neutral zone. I remember kind of a play too. I think it was like kind of all over Twitter. He did like this little spinorama in the neutral zone. I thought it was awesome. kind of shows what kind of defenseman he is. And another thing to keep note is I think towards the end of the season, at one point, like all of his goals were like game-winning goals, even though he had like kind of three. But yeah, I think he ended up with maybe 6 in the WHL to finish the year. I'm gonna double check that real quick, but he actually ended up with 11 goals. So he did kind of got hot towards a little bit at the end of the year. But yeah, I really like his defense too a little bit. Once again, I need to kind of watch a little bit more, see how much coverage he does, and he is also kind of heavy. I've also heard that people were a little bit iffy on him at the U18s. I don't know why, but I was thinking that because sorry, I was thinking he could be maybe in our range because there are other guys who are rising up because of the U18s, which I mean, it's a little bit of a red flag basing it off just of one tournament. But I feel like he could be maybe a guy that if we do pick him, could complete our top 4, and he'd be kind of that valuable defense that we desperately need.
I mean, you pretty much touched on it, I think. I mean, also, Red Wings have a history of drafting defensemen with long ass names too.
Mm.
So,
Definitely
Oh
a
yeah,
player of all time.
Yeah.
or
let's
just
hope
players
Nick
in
out.
general with long ass names too. But yeah, I think he'd be a great addition to our defense core, especially that is agreed a need right now.
Mm.
I mean, you look at the defense on the Red Wings roster right now. You got a couple guys that could be replaced in the next couple years or need to be replaced ASAP. But I think looking at it, he has good high offensive upside to his game. Obviously, he's a defenseman, so you know him scoring goals is a pretty big thing for the most part because I know a lot of defensemen don't do that. But I think it's just all about, you know, I think, like I said, he just fits a good need. I think that's probably our biggest need right now is defenseman, but I could also see them going with a forward too. So I would really like this pick, and I wouldn't be mad at all if they went with Jackson Smith.
I mean, I'm just saying I would kind of prefer drafting a forward, but once again, if Smith is available, I wouldn't mind drafting him at all.
I mean, preferably if we were going for a forward, I'd want Bear. Absolutely.
Mm.
If we were gonna 100%, like I said, go after that guy available, go for Bear. If he technically is available too, McQueen, like we kind of touched on. But if we're going defenseman, Jackson Smith, I feel like that's a really great pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I'm going to touch up on a couple more prospects. We're not going to go deep diving into them because I don't want to reveal every single prospect and go into every single depth player that I want to address because I want to go to player profiles for each player that's going to be in a range now that we know where we're selecting. Some honorable mentions that I put down for the Red Wings here. I've seen Lyndon Lakovich mocked to the Red Wings a lot. Played for the Moose Jaw Warriors this year. Big 2A guy. He's literally that Michael Brandt Nygaard pick this year. Got a guy that has kind of turned my head in a way out of the Victoria Royals is Cole Reshny, the left winger out of the WHL. And then finally, a guy that I've seen a lot of people saying the Red Wings should go after is Kayshawn Aitchison out of the Barrie Colts, left-handed defenseman. He has a lot of points for Barrie currently. We will do, as I mentioned before, we will do a lot of prospect profiles for these guys in the future. The draft is going to be next month. I think around the June 25th time, something around there, yeah. So we got a lot of time, and then obviously one of my favorite times of the year is we're going to grab a lot of people on the podcast here when they're available, and we're all going to do a mock draft for the 2025 NHL draft. But yeah, that's the section for the three prospects we should take at 13th. We'll have much more in-depth details about all these prospects sooner rather than later. But yeah, let's get into some AHL news. The Grand Rapids Griffins were eliminated in 3 games to the Texas Stars. In the Central Division semifinals, the Red Wings were up 3 goals in the third period, and they blew the lead. It was actually, it was 2 or 3, I want to say. I can't remember. I can scroll back real quick to check, but I'm going to scroll a little bit here. Jeez Louise.
For sure. It was good.
They wanted to pay tribute to us, like how we blew all our leads.
Okay, it was 3 goals. So,
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway from this series, I don't know how much you guys paid attention to the Griffins, and if not,
I
I'll.
rewatch the games. So
Okay. So, me and Keegan will ramble on about this one. I mean, I've said it in the group chat. I'm not so much pulling the plug yet, but I think there are certainly some red flags that are going on with Costa right now. Costa had a shaky second half of the year, and then it was like, okay, we're in crunch time, we're in the playoffs. Like, how will you do in how will you do when the lights shine brightest on you? And he got pulled.
Lights were too
Costa got
bright.
pulled.
he's 0-2. He's I think what 0-2 or
Yeah.
he's 0-2.
Stuart Skinner Award.
Yeah, Costa's the new Stuart Skinner.
Oh God.
Oh no! Oh god. But I wanted to touch on too. Yzerman did kind of call him out a little bit in his press conference too, saying, "Hey, we want him to take a next step, and whether that's in the playoffs or whether that's just taking a next step in the off season, or he, I'm sure he probably wants him to try and get a spot, but." Not a great look at all, especially going 0-2 in the playoffs and getting pulled in the first game as well. Being replaced by, out of all goalies, Jack Campbell. But yeah, it's not a good look. I think I'm not pulling the plug on Kosa at all. I'm not, I think there's still a little bit of time, but at some point he's year 3 in the AHL, or at least playing some high end level of hockey in North America. What's it going to take for him to take that next step? Or do you look at, I know a couple people that I know at least were talking of, hey, can you get anything out of maybe trading Kosa to get a better piece, or adding a better goaltender, or adding something of importance to the team? Because, at some point, you just can't keep having these guys develop and develop, because then you're always going to get the same questions that Yzerman's gotten every single year. Well, when are these guys going to come up? Hey, when's a guy like Kosa or Casper or Edvinson going to come up? And it's like we'll see moment, or we'll see type of response. But I think, obviously, not a great look at all, 100%. I think, going this offseason, I think maybe Yzerman has a talk with Kosa in the sense of, hey, you did not perform. We still believe in you, but you got to play better, man, because, time's running out a little bit. Time's ticking a little bit.
Agreed. I mentioned this in the group chat a couple of times. Like, I'm not ready to fully pull the plug yet on him, because goalies, they're voodoo. Like, they take a while for them to develop. But I do like what you said about, is there a time where, we kind of have to evaluate, if let's just say we're in a playoff push come, next season, and we're at the trade deadline, we're sitting really well. We're past the wild card a little bit. We have a lot of, we got a good cushion, and we want to, excel us even more. And you look at Costa, and he's not doing too well in Grand Rapids. Do you look at a trade? Because I think ultimately what Steve's doing here is, you got Cam Talbot on one more year on his deal. You got Peter Mrazek one more year on his deal. He's gonna look for Costa to take that leap next year. And I'm not saying that series is completely on him, but he was a kind of big factor on why.
It was an all around effort that the whole team just kind of, and to be fair, I think part of Kosa's slump too was due to the fact that the team did get injured. We did pull up guys like Soderblom,
Casper, Watson,
and
Shine.
a ton of guys.
Mazer was out.
Oh yeah, Mazer.
Oh yeah.
Dries too. So there's factors into it, but you can't have that be the blame for everything. And granted, you look at last year's run. Hey, you had a guy that probably should have been up in a Berggren and a Casper and an Edvinson, guys that were pretty much NHL ready, playing it in the AHL system. And you look at guys like Soderblom, he earned his stripes this year to come up and play for us, and he did pretty damn good. So,
No pun intended. He earned his wings.
Hey,
Just kind
Getting
of
back to
quickly.
what? Oh, yeah, you go.
Sorry.
You go.
I thought his defense also. I like briefly watched some clips. I was during finals week. I wanted to do my best to watch, but still, I watched some quick highlights, and I thought the defense wasn't doing any quick favors as well. But also, Brian, I think you also said this too. Kosa kind of had some bad rebound control as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And that's the thing with him. Like, he's a big guy. Like, the puck's always in front of you, and it's always going to be in front of you. Especially when you're 6'6", you have to learn how to control your rebounds. And like I was mentioning earlier, like, I think this is the time. Like right now, like, yeah, you don't give up on him, but I feel like this is the best shot you're gonna get. Like, you have two goalies who are in front of you right now. They're on 1-year deals. You're gonna go into training camp. You're gonna try and push one of them out. You're gonna try and make Steve Eisman say, "Holy shit, Kosa took a step this year." And if it's like, okay, he looked good during training camp, but we'll throw him down in the AHL, make him a starter again, sign an AHL backup that'll mentor him, like a guy that we had before in a Hutchinson and a Jack Campbell. Guys like that, just have someone that's backup for him and mentoring him. But if you get midway through the season, the Red Wings are doing great, or even we're in the race right now, we're above the playoff line and we need something to push us through the edge. You get a month and a half down, you're in the playoffs still, your team is looking good, and you tell yourself, you got you got the Islanders, you got the Sabres, you got the Canadiens, you got the Blue Jackets, you got the Senators. I don't think I'm going to throw in the Flyers or the Penguins. I don't think they're going to be that good next year either. You got those 5 teams. They're all battling. Actually, we'll throw in the Rangers too. You got all 6 of those teams that are competing, and you got to make an address this year. Like, this is the year. Like, this is the year Eisman's got to go. So if you notice that Costa isn't doing well in Grand Rapids, or he's not taking that next step, I think that there is a scenario where if there is a team that needs a goaltending prospect, because we can afford to give up one. Like, there's guys, I can't remember. There's some like CHL goalie right now that's doing well for the Griffins that we drafted. It might have been Landon.
Oh yeah.
I think
it's you're talking about Rudy Giamon from Moncton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rudy Giamond, him.
Yeah, sorry. He's a little bit interesting because he was a little bit poor in the USHL, but in the Q he's been amazing. The Q's a little bit kind of on the weak side, but I mean, he's also committed to Yale, so I mean, hopefully, we'll just have to see with them.
I wanna mention too is obviously when we drafted Augustine, there was you're drafting another goalie, and obviously that was in the later rounds too. So maybe there was always maybe some type of doubt with Kosa in the sense of, maybe his rebound control isn't as on par, or maybe this or that. So maybe they always had the intention of obviously having good goaltending prospects, but I think if you're, Augustine right now, I mean, look at what he did with last year with Michigan State. Obviously, they fell short in the playoffs, but I think
look at this year.
This year in the playoff, like, he had a tremendous year. You look at, and I know Brian, you're a goalie too. Looking at all the right stuff that he's done this year, like, I think you could easily make a case that he maybe should have been in the AHL right after they were eliminated, but he wants to win an NCAA title. And then I wanted to mention too, because I know you were talking about guys trading. There's been names thrown out there by some people I know. Maybe you go off and get a guy like a Sorokin or a Swayman, depending on the situation of what those teams want to do, rebuild, retool. Maybe, obviously Swayman had a really down year. Sorokin had a down year. Obviously, most likely those teams are never going to trade those guys. But there's always that chance where it's like, hey, we'll give you this like maybe it's an offer they can't refuse, and they're like, hey, we need a goaltending prospect, we need a guy maybe to build off for the future a little bit, and they're going to give him more time to develop and just be a because like Brian said, goalies take a weird amount of time to develop. So
Mhm.
maybe a team like the Islanders or Bruins look to trade one of their goaltenders they have now and maybe to bolster their prospects and build more for the future.
Agreed. I kind of just want to wrap up what I was mentioning earlier when we were talking about our goalie prospects. Like, there's a plethora of them. So, I mean, I don't want to like say this in a mean way, but you got to just almost pull that theory like, screw it, one of them's got to work. And at this point, I'm kind of on that boat where it's just like I said, like if he's just not doing well, and we're trying to like get to that next spot, like you throw them in that trading piece. Because I don't know about you guys right now. I like where Augustine is. I like him a lot better where Costa was in his draft with +1 and his draft +2 years.
I can agree with
So,
that.
I mean,
I kind of like how with Augusty he's a little bit clutch and obviously the athleticism.
And I think too, another big thing is just look at the level he's playing at. He's playing NCAA. Like Kosa, draft year +1 was still playing in junior hockey. That's good for him, but it's not as a high end level where NCAA is becoming the main place where everybody goes after they get drafted or they play a year or two of juniors. They go straight to NCAA, which is great for a lot of these programs, and it's exciting hockey. But it's becoming more of the memo to, hey, play a year in juniors and then go play a high end level of NCAA, whether it's Boston College, Penn State, Michigan State, Western Michigan. There's all these options that you can go play for top end programs and get ice time and become a better overall player and get a better feel of the North American ice.
all right, so we're gonna wrap this up real quick, talking about Costa. Just kind of like what I wanted to mention. The Red Wings have a plethora of goalie prospects. It's Rudy Gelman, Trey Augustine, Sebastian Costa, Carter Geilander, and Landon Miller. Like, I like Augustine the most. Not giving up on Costa yet, but I think that there's definitely that more leeway that if it's this year, like you have to do it. So if you can't do that, I think you look at trading him. Kind of I want to touch up. What was that?
You're missing one. Gage Alexander. The man, the myth, the
Shut up,
legend.
Hunter. Shut up. Shut up, Hunter. Yeah, Gage Alexander was acquired in that Robert Fabry trade.
Sub 800 saves percentage.
Yeah, had a .813
Isn't he?
Toledo last
Yeah.
season.
Isn't he like 6'8"? I think
He's huge.
that was really tall.
Yeah.
Kind of want to touch up on this guy real quick. MBN. He had 2 goals and 1 assist in 4 games for the Griffins, or 3 games for the Griffins in their playoff series. I have heard that he looked a little shaky at the start, but he really found his rhythm in the last 2 games. Axel Sandin Pelka, kind of same situation where it's just he looked a little blah, and then Axel Sandin Pelka kind of found his rhythm, but not as much as MBN looked. I think with him being in Grand Rapids next year will definitely help, and I believe he'll have that kind of Marco Casper kind of year where it starts off a little slow but really picks it up towards the end of the season into the playoffs. So yeah, to wrap it up, the Grand Rapids Griffins were swept by the Texas Stars in the Central Division semifinals. For Keegan's sake, we'll quickly go over the Toledo Walleye real quick. We'll throw it in real quick. The Toledo Walleye eliminated the Fort Wayne Comets last night, and they will advance to play the Kansas City Mavericks in the the Kelly Cup playoffs Western Conference Finals. The Toledo Walleye, man, they've been on a run for the past couple of years. They have to make it, man. I still remember they lost to who? They lost to the Newfoundland Growlers, who no longer are a team. They lost, when was it? They lost another
last year.
Lost to Kansas City last year too, so this is kind of a redemption arc for them. But yeah, let's hope that they can. Let's hope Toledo can make it to the Kelly Cup playoffs or to the finals, and for God forbid, please win. The Red Wings
Go
organization needs
Mhm.
something. We need something, man.
That barn looked rocking. I
Mhm.
saw a couple of clips. Yeah, great, good for them.
All right, guys. So now we will end everything off with something that we'll do consistently. We're going to bring this back. We are going to bring in Dayton's follower submitted questions off of his story. Dayton obviously is not here, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean we can still do his follower submitted questions without him being here. So for the first one, the first one comes from Caden6743. He says, "Who is our biggest priority to get during the off season?" Could go. I guess we could go a couple ways here. I wouldn't say who, it's what. I think we addressed this a ton in the past couple episodes. It's top 6 forward, top 4 defenseman, and I think we can all agree on who we want versus who we probably will get. Who we want is Mitch Marner and likely Gavrikov. Who we will likely get is one of Besser or
Sam
Ehlers.
Bennett.
No,
That would be awesome.
no, please don't. After what's
Brad
happening
Marchand.
in the
He can
playoffs,
help injure all of our
Keegan, no,
opponents.
stop with Brad Marchand. Stop with
9
Brad
times
Marchand.
8 Sam Bennett.
Oh God.
If we
Dude,
get
I would
Sam Bennett and
burn
Brad
my
Marchand,
house
I'm
down.
done. I will be done. So
I will
yeah,
say though
just
that Nikolai Ehlers guy on the Jets.
It would be intriguing. I wouldn't mind that too.
if he goes to free
Please.
agency, if you don't go after Mitch Marner and Ehlers goes to free agency, be all over him. And I think ever since even hell, like last year we were talking about like us trading for him. He just sounds like a Red Wing. Like, please go and get him. But yeah, like
player, automatically a Red Wing.
But yeah, like just like I said, I don't think it's so much who's our biggest priority. I think it's what's our biggest priority. So I believe like top 6 forward like Marner, a Besser, and Ehlers, and you get a top 4 defenseman like a Provorov, an Ekblad, or a Gavrikov, hoping they hit the market. Maybe if you want to throw Dante Fabro in that mix too. But yeah, I'd say those guys. If you want to put that into who those guys are, but if you want to put it into what, just any top 6 forward, any top 4 defenseman. Next person, we got Gornick Brian asking, how many years of not making the playoffs before Yzerman gets real heat on him? Again, I think this is all an oblivious question. If it's not next year, I think the Red Wings kick him to the curb.
I think we start with big serious questions if it doesn't happen next year. Or we aren't like, I don't know.
I just don't think
if
people
it's
can
not a
put
fun
up with
team to
that.
watch, then
Yeah. I feel like maybe next year he'll be maybe officially on the hot seat. Then after that, nothing happens. Then we got to pull the trigger. I'm still a little bit patient, but yeah, once again, we'll see.
I think it's all dependent on the Illich family. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, just look at what happened with the Tigers. I mean, like they kept was it Alavila for so long, and then they finally.
Yeah.
Him.
Oh
Like,
God.
After signing Javier Baez or a couple
Jordan
other
Zimmerman.
yeah, like all these really bad contracts, and it took forever for them to like really, pull the trigger. But baseball is a little bit different than.
Given Baez has been doing good so far, so.
Oh my God. Talking about
Thank
that,
the
he's
Lord.
been on a roll.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're really taking it to consideration after this year, and if you did add at the deadline and you still don't make playoffs, or if you go or not the deadline, the free agency, and you don't add, or you do add, depending on the scenario. If you don't add and you suck, and you don't make playoffs, obviously he's going to be super on the hot seat. But if you add in free agency and don't make the playoffs still, that like you're probably even more on the hot seat because you went all in. You tried to improve the
you went
team.
all in and you still suck.
I thought you were gonna say like something about like in free agency, like go out and add, and no, don't get a guy like don't overpay for a guy that's Justin Hall. I will say this right now. If I have to watch another year of Justin Hall and Eric Gustafson, then yes, your ass is on the hot seat.
That's also top priority too. If we're adding that, is the Hall.
We just got to replace Hall with Cody Cece. Just make it happen.
Oh God,
If
no!
we
make it
sign
happen.
Cody,
No.
if
No.
we sign Cody Cece, I am done. I'm saying fire Iserman.
85-game legend.
I swear to God, on July 1st, if I'm sitting up north with one of my buddies and I see Cody Cece signed to a 4x3 deal with the Detroit Red Wings, I'm finding the nearest pistol and I am blowing my brains out.
Oh,
I'm gonna say I'm jumping out the window or jumping off the roof.
I'm
I'm
burning every jersey in my
hoping,
collection.
I am hoping that Yzerman saw that Brady Shea contract last year and stays away from that. And if he doesn't, God forbid, the city of Detroit is going to burn down.
I think it's already gonna burn down with how well the sports teams have been doing.
Well, Piston, put well into the fact that Pistons couldn't get past the first round, but the fact that they made it to the first round is good.
Screw the Knicks.
They're gonna say we're going after a high-end defender, and then he's gonna sign Adam Bookfist to fucking 3 years for $3 million.
Oh
I
my
do
God.
like Adam Boqvist, but if it's a lengthy term, like if it's any like bottom six like defenseman, I'm going to scream my head off and
Yeah.
sign to a bridge deal.
I
Live
wanna
free
be-
agency. We take the day off to just have our reactions streamed and
We should do that. Like we should like do a live stream on YouTube July 1st, like of all like the like signings that go on. I think we should do that. But I will say this right now: if we go through, it's either gonna be we make all the moves or no moves. If we go into July 1st and I see a ton of players getting signed and I'm not seeing anyone sign with the Red Wings, I'm giving up on the season. I don't care.
I can agree with that.
I'm telling you, man, I cannot watch another year of Justin Hall. I can't do it. You will not make me. You will not make me watch a pair of Justin Hall and Eric Gustafson go out there again.
I just can't deal with them leaving guys wide open in front of the net. Like,
You know what's
come on,
bad
bro.
when PK Subban, when as an offensive defenseman, calling out your bullshit. Like that's bad.
And bro fell off a cliff after he left Nashville and Montreal too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so from Noah's Pajamas, this is for everyone, so we'll all make sure to get this in. Who is your favorite Red Wing of all time?
Oh.
Of all time.
I'm gonna go first because this is an easy one for me. It's the Dominator. It's the Dominator.
Okay,
I've been told many times that my game looks like Dominik Hasek. Like I have all those desperation saves, and people call me the Dominator sometimes. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
That's my favorite player.
Graceful flailing, my favorite.
How can you not? I mean, I've always bounced around the two, and I feel like these are interchangeable for me just because of the era I did grow up watching Red Wings hockey. But I gotta go with the Magic Man. How can you not love Pavel Datsyuk?
Agreed.
The Datsyuk flips, and I mean, you just look at what he did in the span of time that he played. He didn't play 1,000 games, but he sure as hell made it felt like he played over 1,000 and had a lot more points. Like, look at how great he was defensively with his game, with his, being able to pick off the defenders for a steal. Like, and I mean, you just, I get excited thinking about it because you just look at how sneaky he was, how he had the best moves, the best. I mean, I know Kane has the best hands, but I mean, during that era, it was Datsyuk and Kane 100%, and I feel like they were pretty interchangeable. But you look at Datsyuk, there'll never ever be another guy like Pavel Datsyuk in the league ever again.
Those who know the time that we called Andreas Athanasiou the mini Magic Man. God, what an era!
Now he's buried with Chicago's.
I will say, I want to add on to the previous topic. I'm gonna laugh if he brings back Andreas Athanasiou.
Oh my God, I would die.
I'm gonna laugh my head off.
But honorable mention to Henrik Zetterberg. Him and Datsyuk are interchangeable for me. How many years I watched those teams play, and it was Datsyuk and Zetterberg, and obviously Kronwall too. Like the three interchangeable hockey guys for for a lot of my age demographic for Red Wing fans. But I can't go anyone else but Datsu.
Uh, yeah. For me personally, I wish I watched him when he was in his prime, but I started watching hockey in 2012. That was right around he retired, and that's gotta be Nick Lidstrom. This is
Oh,
kind of a little bit personal because he was
Oh,
like the first player I like saw at I like saw in person and got his autograph. It used to be called the Troy Sports Center or whatever. It was
Now it's the
before I got
Buffalo
hockey.
Wild Wings arena.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and like I didn't know who he was at the time. I was barely watching hockey, and my parents were like, "Oh, go take a picture with him." It's like I didn't know who he was, and like I was a little bit shy or whatever, because it's like a
Bit
random
nervy.
stranger. Yeah, so me and my brother were able to get a picture with him. That picture is now my Instagram profile picture, which is nice. But I was also able to get his autograph too. But sadly, I had to use that stick in that practice, and I smeared a little bit of the autograph, which
oh
sucks.
no.
Hmm.
It was the end. It was like the end part of it. So I mean, it's still kind of legible, or it's still legible, but like the end of it is a little bit smeared, which sucks.
I
But
I remember,
yeah.
I remember playing against one of his kids in one of my games, and then
Mm,
he was I didn't know this because I'm like, "Oh, who?" Or not really who. I was just more like, oh, that happened. But I guess I was playing against one of his kids, and he was kind of hidden away. And this was at Novi, I think, at the time too, and um, he was just kind of hidden, tucked away somewhere because I obviously he didn't want to be known, or didn't want to be known, but he wanted to, be able to watch his kid just play
hmm Just briefly, I remember like a clip of Lidstrom was when like he scored from center ice against the Canucks, and I think it was
Nashville.
2002 playoffs. I think we like kind of scored near center ice, and that kind of started a comeback. And as a kid, I just thought that was so impressive. So, but yeah, for Lidstrom, he's also regarded as like a top three defenseman of all time,
I mean, he could
keeping up with that consistency.
number one.
hmm
Man, the myth, the legend, the one with the magic hands, Alex Chason.
Oh
Um,
God.
Power play legend.
no,
Gosh, bring me back to
no.
prime Alex
Yes.
Jason.
You thought I was going to say Jake Wallman, didn't you?
Yeah,
I,
I
probably
thought it.
sorta.
No, no, it's not actually Jake Wallman. Pavel Datsyuk. Any
Hell yeah.
basically the earliest hockey memories I have. What do you want? Will you shut the hell up? Any of the earliest hockey memories I have, it's like it's been being a pain in the ass this whole time. Any early hockey memories I've had, it's been him. He was my first jersey, my first bobblehead. I sit there glued to the TV every hockey game, just wondering what he would do. Um, First playoff game, it was I think it was versus Calgary back in like 2005, 2006 or something like that. And I watched him the whole game. it, I mean, what can't you say about him? His two-way game was amazing. He had just the silkiest set of hands I think I've ever seen on any hockey player ever. And he was clutch when you needed him to be.
It,
And he beat the shit out of Corey Perry. That was pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
I wanna briefly ask this question. Do you think he's the next guy to get his number retired at LCA? Or do you think
Mm.
Isn't it kind of unofficially retired?
I mean
Basically, I would say,
pretty much
I
yeah.
would say,
I
yeah.
feel like there's like a lot of like unofficially retired Red Wings
Yeah.
jerseys because you think about like how many players like didn't. Yeah, no one wears
Fedorov,
95.
obviously.
Yeah.
Fedorov,
Tarasenko
I mean
didn't.
that's
Tarasenko didn't wear his 91. Like I just feel like there's like unwritten like rules. Don't go
Yeah.
13. Don't go 40. Don't go 91. Like just
Yeah.
something about
I
that.
I personally think once we start getting a little bit better that you're gonna see the first guy that'll get his number retired is Datsuk, the next Zetterberg, and then you could make the argument that they maybe try and mend the relationship between, or not even mend. I think maybe talk to Fedorov, and then you'll maybe see Fedorov get his number retired, which I personally would love from all the conversations of retiring 91 this, that, and the other. Like, I mean, it's been what, years in the making, pretty much. Where, like you have to at this point. Like, you look at what he did for the organization, and same with Datsuk and Zetterberg. They brought. I mean, they weren't there for all the cups, but they were there for. I mean, Datsuk was there for two, and Zetterberg was crucial to the '08 run. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think Datsuk easily gets his number retired, and I mean, you could just when I went to the game where they had his Hall of Fame night, and the crowd response to seeing the Magic Man again. I mean, how can you not retire his number?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and for the last question, we got Kiefer Hughes Wilson asking, what defenseman besides Axel Sandy Pelka and Grand Rapids do you see the Red Wings or in the Red Wings roster soon?
Brady Cleveland.
Oh my
God.
Not this again.
I don't see anyone jumping up this year, but if it was anyone besides ASP, I'd go the boring answer and say one of William Wallander or Shai Buium.
I'd say to be honest. I Wallander. I don't think he. No, I don't think he played that game. He might have played the game against St. Louis. I'm not.
He didn't. He was just called up.
Yeah, he was called up.
He
I got to see him
called up in the series.
but I think Wallander needs, and Iserman's always talked about guys taking the next step, and I think, to some regard, I feel like a guy like Wallander might maybe need a little bit more time, and I mean, they're gonna give him plenty of time, but I think a guy like Buum, who's had a really great season in Grand Rapids, I mean, could easily push for a spot, and how cool would it be for him to play against his brother too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once again, I would go Biom. I really like how safe his game is. I haven't really watched any of the GR clips, but I liked watching him at Denver when they won the national championship. I think it was part of that team last year. Maybe it was the first one, but yeah, I feel like he could be up, and I'm also rooting for Anton Johansson
Mm-hmm.
to see if he can do something. But I mean, he looked like he was putting up a lot of shots in his AHL stint, so we'll see what he could do in a full year.
And that's the thing that Keegan mentioned earlier. Like, if you want, like, what he wants the Red Wings to do, like, maybe we should take a defenseman because you got guys that are already graduated, like Sider Edmondson. You got guys like ASP that have a chance of making it next year. No offense to Wallander, but I think he's getting to that point where he's capping out a little bit. You hope Shai Buium's going to make that next jump, which I think he could, and he probably will. He'll probably be like our fifth defenseman, I hope. So I think that's where you kind of
AJ type guy where maybe you bring him in this year to see what he does, and maybe you bounce him in and out of the lineup a little bit for him to get ready.
exactly. But then again, like, I think just bouncing back to that, like, I mean, you just have to take the best player available, and if you say to yourself, well, okay, we got Edmondson and Sider, and then ASP coming up, and then you have a potential fifth defenseman and Shai Buium, then that's what you're anticipating. Then your second pair of left defenseman and your bottom pair of right defenseman are kind of open. It's where you can kind of fill in like free agency. You know what I mean? Or like fillers until they graduate. But yeah, so I think it's unanimous. I think Buium is probably the favorite with, odds going to William Wallander and hopefully Anton Johansson from there. But yeah. All right, so that'll wrap up episode 7 of the Hockey in the 313 podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. It's great that we're getting this podcast back up and running and getting it consistently out on Sunday and having it out. We're recording it on Sunday and having it out on Monday. We'll have more topics coming soon for us. It'll get busy towards the month of June with the draft preparing, with free agency coming up. So with that, stay tuned, everyone. Like and subscribe. Keep your notifications on whenever we continue to post. And yeah, that'll do it for the Hockey in the 3-on-3 podcast of episode 7. With that, everyone have a great rest of your night. I thank you for coming on tonight. And above and beyond, let's go Red Wings.
I hate you.